My name is Chris Reese. I'm the president and founder of Cirrus Business Group. Cirrus Business Group is all about making great organizations that are great places to work. And some of you in here are clients, some of you are students of the university, and we're very excited about the information that we're going to be sharing with you this morning. The things on the table are yours. It's our gift to you. Please take those with you, and we'd love to visit with you more after the presentation today. We're going to be talking about the 4 disciplines of sustainably successful organizations. How do you build an organization that has an advantage, that is able to be sustained over and beyond your competition? It's a highly competitive world in which we live. There's new entrants happening every day. And so we want to talk about how do we build an organization that continues to be out there in front. Now take a look at the logos that are on the screen. This is a 2012 study of the most desired employers. The other thing that you'll notice is there's a high correlation, if any of you follow the financial markets, there's a high correlation between the logos you see on this screen and the companies that consistently perform in the top of the market. And there's a reason for that. They're great organizations, they're great places to work, and they understand how to execute on these disciplines. Does that mean they always do it perfectly? No. But they've at least got a focus around those, and they're working in that direction. So I'd like to bring up our first presenter that's going to talk about that first discipline with you. He spent many, many years with Kimberly-Clark. He's also worked in the nonprofit sector for many years. A lot of work around organizational development and creating alignment. And so would you help me welcome David Jernigan.
Thank you, Chris. Can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't project real well, so I just want to make sure. My guess is you all recognize all those logos. To kind of get us started thinking, I want to focus in on one of them. I usually don't like to ask questions this way, but I'm going to ask this one because is there anybody here who does not know that logo? Everyone here knows that logo, right? Let me ask you this question. If you or someone in your home owns something made by this company, raise your hand. All right, keep them up. If you happen to bring that item with you today, do you have it? Stuart's got 2. Yeah, there's 1, there's 2. Chris actually has 3 that he brought with. I have 3 I brought with me today. But did you see the hands in the room? Do you think that would have been true 15 years ago? No. How many of you would not have recognized that logo 15 years ago? I don't know if I would have or not, truthfully. Here's the question. 15, 20 years ago, we've got a logo that may not have been recognized. Today, every one of us in the room have products made by this company. We even brought them with us. And we're not sure that would have been true 15 years ago. What changed? What happened? To take a company that in the 90s was making products that might have been innovative, but they looked more like kitchen appliances, to going to a company that in 2007 made arguably the greatest piece of consumer electronics ever designed. How does that happen? What changes to make that happen? I want you to look at another logo. How many recognize this logo? Some of you know the story. 15 years ago, 16 years ago, summer of 2000, 14 years ago, Enron was on the top of the financial world. Their stock actually topped out in the summer of 2000. They were the jewel of the investing world. Companies were trying to emulate their success. Most of you know the story. By October of 2001, they were under SEC investigation. In October of 2001, Apple introduced the iPod. Their stock in September of 2001 ran somewhere between $15 and $20. At the end of September, they closed somewhere around in the neighborhood of $17 a share. Yesterday, Apple closed at $530 a share. If you had purchased 100 shares of Apple stock, and how many of you have said, doggone it, I wish I had known. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I wish I'd bought stock. $53,000 if you bought 100 shares of Apple stock. $53,000. In 2001, that would have represented at most a $2,000 investment. If you purchased 100 shares of Enron stock in 2001, today it literally would not be worth the paper it was written on. So what changed? What happened? To take a company that is struggling, that's about to go under, and they turn into one of the giants in the industry, and then you've got a giant in the industry that turns into nothing, literally nothing. In fact, they become a byword for failure in the industry. See, I don't think anybody got up 20 years ago at Enron and said, you know, today we're going to start taking steps to ruin people's lives. In fact, I hope people die. Now, there may have been somebody with that kind of a devious mind, but I bet there wasn't at that time. Nobody envisioned what happened. And by the same token, I bet there was nobody 20 years ago at Apple that got up and said, you know what? In about 7 or 8 years, I'm going to come up with the iPhone. And our stock's going to soar. But that's what happened. See, I do believe somebody got up one day and decided we're going to do something different. We're going to change things. We're not going to do things the way we used to. Somebody made that decision at Apple for the better. Somebody made that decision at Enron for the worse. And what we want to talk about today, the thing that changed, is organizational health. One organization got healthy, and one organization did not. And so, I realize the Steve Jobs coming and going at Apple has been well documented in the last 2 or 3 years, and he gets a lot of credit, and rightly so. But folks, Steve Jobs did not invent the iPhone. Steve Jobs did not invent iTunes or the iPod. The organization changed fundamentally. And that change was to get healthy as opposed to not being healthy. And some of this today, the point I want to make with you, the thing I want you to take away from the first part of our discussion is, this feels squishy. When we talk about organizational health, it feels out there. It feels like I can't get my hands around it, but it's real. And Apple and Enron are examples. So what do we mean when we talk about organizational health? Well, there are three parts. The first part is members know, and they know three things. They know what we're doing, they know what I'm doing, what my role is, why I'm doing it, and what my individual responsibility is.